Good morning. So, one of the things I think I wanted to do as I kind of worked my way through the season here was I wanted to make sure I went through, I guess, call it high level slash somewhat in depth, depending on what I'm talking about. Just things I used this year, what worked, what didn't, what I think I'm going to go ahead and swap out or try for next season. Just again, as I'm learning as I go here, right? So I'm hoping that you're learning with me as we pick up a few ins and outs, and obviously things in the world are always changing with lawn care and what people are using and what's out there, new products, things like that, tried and true. So I'm going to go ahead and just walk through the equipment. And I separated this into two parts. So first, I'm going to go through the equipment that I use. So I'll get into just some of the major pieces that I use and when I go through my season and my lawn care here. And then I'll get into some of the products, and I'll do a quick run through of all the products, starting from what I start off with in the spring, right up through the season, and then into this fall. And it'll be based on this year, so I'll kind of talk about things that I always use that are just kind of consistent, things I tried new, things I didn't like, what maybe worked for me. So I'm going to start off high level. If you don't know, I am in Connecticut. Not really, I don't want to say centrally located, but south of Hartford, and north of the shore still though. And I am on an acre here, and aside from the house and everything else, I've got anywhere from 15,000 to 20,000 square feet. It depends on what I'm treating, because obviously if you look right here, like along the wood line, it depends how crazy I want to get, if I want to tackle these areas. But really, as you can see, from between here to this here, I'm obviously more focused on the bigger areas. And then even up over here, that whole hillside there is a section. And so when you back up against woods like this, I don't have set defined borders, so it kind of blends in, and those are areas I don't really go crazy with. So again, depending on what I'm applying and how I'm looking to treat, it can be anywhere from a 15 to a 20,000 square foot application. So that's kind of what I roll through, but I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pop open the shed, and we're going to start going through some of the equipment and just talking about it. So stay tuned. Shed's getting a little packed right now because I'm getting ready to put the lawn furniture in here for the patio furniture for winter storage. Patio heater, that's an old one. It's kind of dead and gone. I got to get rid of that. However, I wanted to start off with the main guy here. This is the John Deere. This is a D105. It's not anything crazy. I don't have a standard Z. I don't have an X series that I would love. 42-inch cut, and I've got 250 hours on it now. And I know some of you have seen some pictures posted, but I just went ahead and did the LED change out on this, which highly recommend. They're just insanely bright compared to the little 1156 halogen bulbs. So that's definitely something I would look into investing in for this tractor. I think it was like $12 for a set of bulbs on Amazon. I call it the Stig, and that's just kind of what it's known as. It's been a good machine. It's works well for me. I've got the suicide knob on here, which is awesome. I love it. I think one season without it, and going into next year threw that on right away. I just didn't want to be bothered with holding on to that wheel the whole time. One of the things I did do to this tractor that made a huge improvement is I picked up the mulch kit. So this is the 42-inch edge cutting system deck that John Deere has. So this mulch kit, actually what this does is it sits up in the front part of the deck. So if you look down here at the front part of the deck, that's right now, that whole front part of the deck is just a big straight opening. It doesn't have a curve to it like the backside does. So what this actually will do for me, as I spin the camera and make you all dizzy, this actually puts a lot more shape into the deck. And it also came with a set of John Deere mulching blades, which, keep them sharp. And I use that all season long. I don't get any clumping. I don't get any lines. And I think that was a little over $100, but well worth the investment, and I love having it. When it comes to the fall, I actually switch back over to side discharge, and I have a set of Gator, so Oregon Gator G3 blades that I put on this, as well as what they sell is called, John Deere has it's the anti-blowout baffle. So a lot of times, if you're familiar with riding on a small rider, you'll notice, depending on the deck, that the top right here is you'll get a lot of leaf blowout. It'll just kind of get itself up and under the deck and pop out, and then you get with leaves clumped up by the front wheel. It turns into a disaster. It's a pain in the ass to manage. So what I actually ended up doing is this blowout baffle is literally just a thin steel plate. Let me see if I can get you. You can look underneath here and see. But yep, that's it right there. So you can see right here. That is terrible, terrible camera work. There it is right there, this shiny guy right there. This right here is just a steel plate that just bolts underneath, and it just gives a little bit of a lip on the inside edge. And that prevents any of those leaves from blowing out. It allows me to do a much better job of the mulching. And you've seen pictures, I've done some videos of it as well, where, you know, I mow in the fall from the inside out. And I'll talk about some of the techniques I use with this, but that's one of the things I do in the fall. So John Deere tractor, D105, I love it. I've had it for a few years. Amazing product. One of my other guys here that has turned into one of my favorites. There we go. Troy-Bilt Jet Sweep. It's an 8 horsepower machine. It fires right up. I bought it used off of a tag sale online, and that thing has been immensely helpful for just kind of helping me clear out the leaves, getting a little extra push to get them in deeper into the woods. It's great when I want to make piles for the kids. Other than that, all I have is the handheld, the Echo. It's a PB250LN. I've had that for almost 10 years now. And never went up to a backpack. I just went right to the walk behind, which has been a really good product for me to use. When I talk about some of my tow behind stuff, and I can't really flip the camera around right now, but let me go ahead, I'll stop this clip and I'll get into looking down at some of the tow behinds for you. So I've got quite a few things here that I use. One of those, so this is a AgriFab, this is a tow behind core aerator. Obviously you're not gonna get the same type of work that, let's say, a dedicated machine one would, but for the fact that I have a tractor and it was cheap enough and it works pretty well for what it does, it gets me my core aeration. This was an awesome buy. I also have this is the AgriFab, also a tow behind dethatcher rake. And what I've done with this is I flip around. Sometimes I'll throw lighter weights on it, so you can see I've got a couple different types of cinder blocks, thin ones, thick ones. And depending on what I'm doing, I can either go thick with the brick and get a real deep scrape. I can go with a lighter brick or no brick at all and just kind of rake up the top surface a little bit. I did save from the box these cardboard panels because I'm a little OCD and I don't need it I don't want it all scratched up and rusted and looking like crap. So I put those down before I put the bricks on, and a couple of thick black rubber bungee straps goes a long way. This hasn't gotten a lot of use behind the hose here. This is a Craftsman. This is a spike aerator and overseeder. And so what I started using it for was I would just dump bricks in here, drop it, and then I would do a spike aeration, which seemed to work pretty well. I can't say anything negative about it. Spike aeration isn't the same as core, but it did what I wanted it to do. And one of the things I'm probably going to use this for is, instead of renting a drill seeder in the fall next year, is I'll set this back up with the gears to be a overseeder, and I'll go ahead and I'll do a spike aeration overseed of the property. Typical 10 cubic foot dump cart. That's invaluable when you have a tractor, just for picking things up, spreading things out. Love using it. My garden tiller. This is old. This is an Agway 5 horsepower. It's belt driven, front tine tiller, and it's a beast. It starts up. It will take you for a ride if you don't hold on to it. But I do love it. It works really well. Now we get into the Echo. Move some things around here. So that's the Echo RB60. And I know there's been a lot of videos I've posted on this guy. Most of my views come from this machine, this piece of equipment, I should say. And one of the things I did is I changed the agitator on here. This has a 60-pound hopper. And for me, it's awesome. It holds one full bag for a bag rate application of anything I grab for the 15,000 square foot sections I usually cover. It works well. It does what I need it to. I did that modification where I bought the shelf brackets and I just mounted them in to the agitator, and you can see right here it grabs the bottom, and I can angle these to pull or push. What that's really done well for me is it's been able, as this gets down to about, say you're maybe in the 1/3 or less area here just before this starts showing. This really helps to just start moving around the material to get it into the gates. Because otherwise it's all just gravity, because once it gets down below this point, there's nothing helping it. And the way I look at it is, as I get to the if I get to the very end down there and I'm still applying, then I shorted myself. The way I look at it is that you should be able to get a full application out and then still have a little bit left in the hopper, so that you're not sitting here on your last 1 or 2 rows trying to shimmy it back and forth or shake it around or do whatever you need to do to get the last of that product out. I feel like at that point you're kind of shorting yourself, and you maybe should have more product to put down. Or you need to adjust your setting down a little bit so that, you get a more even spread. But what I found is, it gets me a full application, and as I get to the bottom and I need to do that little bit of walk, I'm not bouncing this around or shaking. I might do a little back and forth shimmy on it just to help, because as you hold it up, obviously this sits a little more level to help everything fall down the gate. But at that point, I'm literally just hitting the last section or starting to do a second app across the front or other areas I want to kind of just throw a little extra on. But for $100, I couldn't ask for a better unit. I really didn't want to go spend a couple $100 on something else that, for what I do and what I need it to for. So that's been awesome for me, and I still highly recommend it. All right. I think I covered most of my tools. I was trying not to make this too long. Let me take you into the garage. I'll show you a couple of the other pieces I use as well. Brisk. It's in the 50s, 40s at night, but I actually love this time of year. This weather's been awesome. I just need more leaves to fall so I can make piles for the kids. So now in here, there's a couple things I keep in here. One is my blower, which I've kind of got out and about because I've been using the blower quite a bit every day, basically, to clean off the trampoline for the kids. But one thing I did, I posted a review on this guy. This is the Milwaukee. This is the M18 with a 9 amp battery. It's just the straight shaft. It's not the one that has the clips so that you can swap out for hedge trimmers. I got a hedge trimmer here. I got other loppers and everything else. This thing is awesome. It's a total beast. I had a curved shaft Echo before this that was almost 10 years old. That worked really well, but it got to me because I was using it on a much smaller postage stamp property when I first had it, and it worked really well there. But when I got here, obviously doing the edge work around the woods, all around the beds, the driveway, just around the pool, the deck, everywhere you had to do all the extra, I could spend, if I'm really doing it, I could spend 20 minutes just doing trim work around here. And that takes a little bit of a toll. My back was starting to hurt from it. It was just an awkward position. I was gonna get a straight shaft Echo, but I said, let me just start making that switch to some batteries because the new stuff that's coming out is really good. To the point now I wanna throw, I think I'm gonna get the blower component that goes with Milwaukee as well. Just that'll be nice to have for a quick hit. And less gas usage too. But that's been an awesome tool. I think some of the other things I talk about is my Husqvarna. So this is a Husqvarna 4-gallon hand pump sprayer. I bought this, was it last year? It's probably 1 season, maybe 2 old at this point. But I bought that mainly because I was starting to do the Bifin and the Prodiamine applications, which I'll talk about the products a little later. And again, this is going to be a 2-parter. So the first one will be all about equipment. The next one will be about product. That's been awesome, especially for like people that are just starting out or trying to learn their lawn, learn spraying without just diving headfirst and spending tons of money. I got that for less than $70. I did buy the T-Jet nozzles for it, which have made a world of difference for me in terms of spraying. So I do highly recommend the T-Jet nozzles, which they're in here. You can see the couple of the versions. I think I talk about these. So this is what came with the unit, is this little guy, just all plastic. And these are the T-Jets. And you can see it's got the stainless fitting inside of it, which makes a world of difference when you're spraying. In terms of just the applying evenly and the amount of product that's coming out. It's a much better thing to use. That is something I'm probably gonna look to upgrade into the next season, whether I'm gonna get a tow behind with a hose wand or a push one. But I definitely need to make an adjustment. Again, I don't mind the walk, but if I can go through my yard, depending on what I'm applying, I fill this up anywhere from 3 to 4 times for whatever the application is. So if I can fill up once and get the whole lawn done, that's a big time saver for me. That's less mixing, that's less stopping and going. But again, for my first time out with it, it was a great learning tool. I don't anticipate wanting to get rid of it anytime soon because I could still find a good use for it for other things that I won't need to fill up a larger 10 plus gallon walk behind or toe sprayer. So, and then I've got my little guy here. This is my little 1 gallon, the Home Depot, the HDX brand sprayer. I haven't done any modifications to this one. It's all the plastic wand and everything else. This is literally my killer. The only thing I put in that is the grass and weed killer. So that's like the straight up glyphosate is always in there. So that's all it is. This here is really just for any of the herbicides and pesticides or insecticides that I put down. I haven't done any of my stimulant applications with this. So again, I would like to, and I'll probably get there when I get a better sprayer, but that's where we are for right now. So those are the main tools I use. That's what I do to get my lawn done and get things taken care of. So hope you enjoyed it. Stay around for part 2. Part 2, I'll go ahead and talk about the products. I'll give a quick rundown on those. I'm not going to probably talk so much about what's in them, but I'll just kind of give you more around it when I put them down and what I've seen that they've done for me. So stay tuned for that. Have a good morning.